Good morning, Symmetry Nation. It is, just checking the calendar here, Monday, October 25th. It's 9 a.m. Pacific time. I'm sure I'm talking to a lot of different time zones, and this makes me excited and a little nervous too. I'm sitting here in my home office. Great thing about what we do. We can do this from our home office. I feel both excited to be connecting with a lot of people virtually right now. I can't see anybody, but I know that you're out there. I know this is a very important hour for new agents, even seasoned agents are plugging in. If as we are recommended to do with the Symmetry system, to plug into multiple calls throughout the week. I know this is an important call, the Monday morning sales training call. With that being said, I want to get started here. We've got an hour together. I can sometimes be long-winded, and I always seem to run out of time before I get through all the things that I want to talk about. So let's just, I'll just quickly introduce myself. Again, my name is Ryan Gaska. You can see me here on the screen. I'm an agency owner and top producer. Been with Symmetry since April of 2019. And I am right here in Northern California, the greater Sacramento area, and I'm a direct, very lucky to be direct to Mr. Darren Stubbs, Executive Vice President of the PacWest Agency. So very, very excited to help train on the national level here. This business depends on our dedication and our diligence of getting excellent at all the different parts. I want to talk about using the sales system here, but then talk kind of more generally speaking here at the beginning about the importance of practicing your craft, about becoming an expert in your field, and becoming I'm getting notes here that I need to be 30 minutes. Wow. So, okay, I better speed up here. That you to get great at what we do, we've got to practice our craft and learn the different tools. Okay. The analogy I want to use here is when you're talking about like a top level professional football team, right? They're in the red zone and there's less than 2 minutes on the clock in the big game. The coach is not going to send out the team on the field and just say, hey guys, you just figure it out, just wing it, right? They're going to go out in that field with a plan, right? They're going to go on that field with a strategy. They're going to go out on the field with a plan in place that they have drilled, that they have practiced, that they have rehearsed over and over and over again. And that is what it's going to be like for you as an agent, whether you're just starting, you've been here for a number of years, is that you're going to need to get really good at rehearsing and repeating these things over and over and over again in a way that becomes second nature. And here's why. The brain only has so much bandwidth, right? And when you're sitting with a family, you are nervous. I'm still nervous even now after I've sat with literally hundreds, if not thousands of families at this point. You're nervous. Your anxiety is elevated. Your heartbeat's racing. You are trying to read body language if you're doing it virtually. You're making sure that your Zoom is working, that you're hoping that the e-app application is going to pull up and work properly. You're hoping that you've asked all the questions properly so that you have the right health information and you've caseworked it properly, that they're going to get approved for whatever option they decide to apply for. You're hoping all this works. So the last thing you need is to be trying to, with all that in mind, try to think about what you're going to say, All right. What you're going to say should be second nature. Why? Because you've rehearsed it and we have the real system here to leverage. Okay. So this is not a training on every aspect of the real sales system. This is really going to be focusing on how to build massive certainty and what that looks like, the different parts in the real sales system, and why I think this is so important. And a lot of agents out there, I've seen this, and you probably identify it when I share this. A lot of new sales people, they come here with average or maybe even below average skills, and that's okay, right? We all start at the beginning. You have this desire to race to get to the options, right? You want to show them the options that you've created because you want to get the question out on the table and get an answer right away. Okay. You want to say, you want to kind of race through the slide deck, and you want to just hope and pray that when you get to the three options that they're just going to pick one. Okay. And you don't take the time to take the temperature of your family's certainty level, right? And let me tell you something. Let me just get right to the next slide deck here, okay? If they are not certain, let me skip to the next slide actually here. If they are not certain, they will not fill out an application, okay? They have to be certain, and not maybe 100% certain, but to a certain level of certainty. If their certainty is very, very low, they will not fill out an application. All right. So you have to slow down and take the time when we're going to go through the real system here. And you have to take the time to build that certainty in them and check in to see what that certainty level is. And that may be asking somewhat directly. I'll show you how. But you can't get to the options and hope and pray without knowing, and not be able to you're not going to close at the highest level if you are just clueless about their certainty when you get to the options. Okay. So let me kind of explain exactly what this looks like. Okay. Now the real system, what does it stand for? Okay. R stands for rapport. Okay. This might be the foundational level of the entire conversation. There are great trainings on how to build rapport. We're going to get into a couple of real great questions to how to kind of springboard into your rapport building questions and conversations there. But this is a very foundational part of the sales system, okay? Building rapport. And this is kind of what's going to allow you to enter their world, right? They're going to build lots of trust in you and your company. It's going to allow them to really give you permission to ask what, for most part, would be tough questions to be asked, right? What does it look like for your family if a loved one passes away? Okay. It's gonna, rapport is where you're gonna, tease out what their pain points are that you will use later on in an ethical way, of course, to help motivate them to take action today, right? By filling an application with you. Now, E represents emotion, right? This is an emotional sale. In fact, maybe all sales are emotional, but it is backed by logic, okay? It is backed by reason, and that's where certainty comes into play, that it's a logical case you're going to make for them, but you definitely want to build that emotion first and foremost, okay? So because it starts with emotion. Now, assumptive, this has to do with your presence, with your posture, with your own certainty, right? You might have a copy of your policy sitting out here on your desk that you can show them how certain you are that this is a great thing. How certain you are that the options that you've created for them are the absolute best fit for their needs. In fact, we'll talk about how that's said here in the transitional phase from the, going to, from gathering in information about their needs, figuring out, what might be a good fit. And then you're going to go into this is the best thing since sliced bread for you, and here's why. That's the assumptive sort of posture you're going to need, okay? And then the lock it down part is how to cement this business. As we all know, we've done this a few times. The sale is not complete just by taking the application, right? We want to get that issued, but there's a couple of things you're going to do there at the end that were really locked down, that they've really, that, again, certainty, that they have that certainty that they've made the best decision for themselves and their families. Okay. All right. Now, so we're going to get into, I'm going to actually use here my actual personal slide deck that is just taken off of Quality HQ under the telesales training tab under new agent training, new agent checklist. Okay, so my slide deck isn't special. In fact, I've just used the slides here for this presentation and just kind of copied and pasted things into it. So, but these power questions really are going to be powerful to ask very early on in the rapport building section, but also you can pepper these in throughout your presentation as a way of, again, checking in with them, doing a temperature check with them, seeing what their certainty level is, because sometimes you might have to go back and build in extra layers of certainty. Okay, we can talk about that, or we will mention that here in a few minutes, how that's done. But, these are great questions. I actually have them written out here on my desk. Like I said, emotions start to flow. I have a lot of notes already out here on my desk when I'm in a mortgage protection appointment, so that my anxiety and my adrenaline don't get in the way of me forgetting certain key things that I need to be addressing and asking about. Okay. So you have them here on the screen, but I'll just roll through them. Power questions here. Number one, what did you have in mind when you replied to the letter? Okay, this is a very assumptive question. Okay, we know that it is important to them by their actions. Very few leads get replied to. In fact, I think only 1% of the letters we mail out actually get replied to. So this is a very special client here. They have, not only have they not thrown away what for most people would be junk mail, they have taken the time to read it, and then they've moved their body, whether it's been, walking that lead out to the mailbox or taking the time to pick up the phone and answer a number of questions. They have moved their body, and we want to understand what motivated them to move their body, right? Because something did. So very, very powerful question. Okay. Second one here is, how long have they been thinking about it? For a lot of families, they've thought about it for a while, right? Maybe they've thought about it for years, if not decades, but they've reached a point in their life where it has suddenly been so important that they've decided to take action. Okay. And the information you're going to gather at this point, you're going to use later on. Okay. So you're always taking mental notes, or maybe you're writing some of the stuff down as you go. Professionals have a notepad and pen in any meeting. Don't hesitate, even in a virtual appointment, to have your notepad and pen out and be taking notes. It really shows engagement and professionalism. Okay. And the third one here is, do you know of anyone that has had a mortgage protection policy? You might even ask this in more broad terms, like, do you know of someone that has had a life insurance policy? Do you know of someone that has had a life insurance policy come into great benefit for their family when something has happened? Another way of asking this is, have you ever known someone that have had something happen to them, but they didn't have a policy? Okay, you might ask that even just in addition to this question. It's kind of that question in reverse. because you want them to start to be thinking about what this is going to look like, both if they have a policy versus how much pain is their family going to be in if they don't have a policy. Now, of course, we can make a lot of assumptions about that. Of course, this is important to them. Of course, they would want to protect their family. Of course, this matters. Of course, this is their top priority, but we want them to say it. Okay, we want them to be talking about it and feeling about it. And that is why we need to ask these things directly. This is, again, part of how you are assessing their certainty level all throughout the presentation. Okay. Now, bonus questions to be asking all along the way is, does this make sense? Okay. A lot of agents struggle with letting the clients talk. They want to do all the talking. Again, they want to kind of rush through the presentation and get to the end. But a great question to be asking multiple times is, does this make sense? Are you tracking me, right? Are you on the same page as me? Are we on the same page? Okay. Another bonus question here is, what questions do you have about what we've covered thus far? Importantly, you want to make sure that they understand. It's hard to be certain about something if you don't know how it works. Now, mortgage protection is a very straightforward solution. Okay. It's a death benefit that gets paid at death that comes at a certain monthly premium. You know, when we get into living benefits and different kinds of bells and whistles here on any plan that you've created for them, that's all kind of secondary to the main thing being the main thing. It's a death benefit, right? That gets used by the family to cover, in this case, a mortgage that comes at a certain monthly premium. All right. And we want to make sure at the end, at the end of the day, that they're very clear about how that works. Okay, so I'm going to get into my personal slide deck. Again, this is not a training on, how to do a mortgage protection appointment, but I want to use the slide deck to kind of talk through how the different elements of the real system are deployed in this game plan here, okay? So first off, the first slide makes a big impact. It's basically shouting, at the highest volume here, look, I am a professional. I do something here that is very specific. We are addressing the mortgage. We are going to protect that mortgage with a policy. Why that's important. It's going to prevent a loss to your family in the case of you passing away. Okay. And it's going to frame the entire conversation. Now, I have more of a hedgehog personality in my appointments, where I'm really here to do the one thing and the one thing first and foremost. If this sale leads to other sales, other policies, down the road, that's great. But I'm going to keep the main thing here, and that is protecting the mortgage first and foremost. Okay. I also let them know that I am licensed, okay, and I make that very clear right up front. This is, how this is, that assumptive posture you're going to have. That I'm here because you requested it, and I'm a professional. Okay, this is an important slide. This really plays into them, when it comes to certainty, that not only are they certain about how the product works, but that you are the best choice, right? That you are the one that is the best person to help them with their problem in this case. And I leverage quite a bit on not just my expertise, that I'm a licensed agent and that I've helped out hundreds and approaching almost thousands of families here. I think I've written now over 700 applications since I've been here with Symmetry. But that that Symmetry as a national agency is the #1 providers for mortgage protection. And that's just not a thing I made up. You can ask any of our carriers. We are the #1 providers of this protection, literally across the country, every single day of the week. We are helping out thousands of families protect their mortgage with a mortgage protection policy. And I think that's pretty cool. And it feels great to be aligned with the best in the industry. Now, again, part of the assumptive nature of this conversation here is, I'm going to say, look, this is what we do. This is what I'm here to do. This is my role and purpose. I'm here to assess what your needs are, figure out what you qualify for based on your age and your health, and present you a number of options. Now, your job as my client is very simple: to simply tell me which option is the best fit. And then from there, we moved, where I then get you approved for that option. All right. And an important part of this slide here is to let them know what's going to happen over the next 10 15 minutes. How many times have you gotten to the end and you ask for the sale and they are surprised? Well, I didn't know that I needed to make a decision today, right? So it's important that you let them know up front exactly what's going to happen. Okay, this is that assumptive quality, and that builds a lot of confidence in your clients that they're working with a professional, they're working with someone that's trustworthy, they're working with a company that's trustworthy, and that's going to help them build lots and lots of certainty. Okay. Verifying information. We always want to make sure we verify the information. I put the client qualification form and a copy of the lead in the slide deck so they can see it. Wow, that's right. We did fill out that letter. We did call in on that card. Okay, yeah, that is the health information that was provided on the first phone call. This is a great way of sometimes, finding out if there was some health information that wasn't disclosed in the first call. Again, knowing how important it is that we get this right is going to allow them to be very truthful with you. Because remember, we told them they have to get approved. They have to qualify for coverage, right, with an application. They're going to be much more likely to let you know everything that's going on with them because they want to get approved. Okay. Where are we with time? 6 more minutes. Okay. This is a great slide where you're going to really ramp up the certainty in your with your client, okay, or your couple. You're going to get into again, kind of tying back into the very beginning of the conversation. Why did you fill out that card? Let's cover that one more time. I want to make sure here we got this right. What is it that you hope that happens when you pass away? And then the third thing here is, hey, what would it be like? This is kind of shore up and push on that pain point. Hey, what is it going to be like for your family if something happens to you and you don't have a policy, right? What if tomorrow you don't come home? What would that look like for your family? And this is a great moment. This is where the first half of the sale ends, and you're going to transition to how the coverage works, and you're going to ask for the sale, okay? And here's the question you want to write down and use it's actually not kind of a question, it's really more of a statement, okay? And here it is. Based on everything you've told me, you're telling this to your client, based on everything you've told me, right? From your health situation to your financial situation, I know how much your mortgage is. I know, who depends on you and your family. Based on everything you shared with me, the options that I've come up with here today are going to be a great fit for your situation. And here's why. It's going to be an excellent fit for your family. And here's why. When I say that, I am really very confident in my certainty level, and that's going to translate to the family that I'm sitting with. That certainty level should be so high at this point that it doesn't even really matter what the price is going to be, because we can change the amount of coverage around to find a program that does fit someone's budget. Remember, if you've asked for their occupation and their income level, you're going to know in a general sense what their occupation is going to be like, or not their occupation, what their budget is going to kind of potentially look like. Again, you as an expert, if you worked with your agent mentor, you'll have some plans that you think would be a good fit. You're going to be so confident, and they're going to be so confident that just everything's going to fall into place at this point. Okay. They're going to want the coverage. They're going to know that this is going to be the best fit for them. And then it's a matter of, let's find the amount of coverage that is the best fit for your budget. You do not want to go past this slide in this point in the conversation, this point of your presentation, without them demonstrating to you that their certainty is at a pretty high level. May not be 100%, but it's pretty high, maybe 70 or 80%. They're still kind of curious about what the coverage is going to cost them, but they have a pretty high level of certainty. Okay. And then from here, it should all kind of fall into place. And then I only have a couple more minutes here. So the second half of the sale is going to be really straightforward. Okay. It's really about kind of explaining how the coverage is going to work for them, right? I've seen this done in a number of different ways. If this is going to be a critical period conversation, you might have a slide in here that says, hey, not everybody's going to qualify for enough coverage that pays off their full loan. And for those families, they're usually older or maybe have some health issues. We have a great solution called critical period payment protection. Okay. And you might have a slide there for that. And this is, again, there's basically two things that your client's going to be thinking about, right? How much is the death benefit going to be, and what is going to be the monthly premium for it? Okay. And so this is a very straightforward part of your presentation. Level coverage, if it's a level term product, right? You explain how that works. You explain how the premiums are fixed during the term, how the benefit gets paid. If there's living benefits, this is a great news for the policies that we work with. You go into, you touch in again on how the application process works, how, hey, we're going to look at some options here. You're going to pick one that is the best fit, and we're going to apply to get approved for that. And then what's more is I have multiple options worked up for you. We just simply today need to figure out what might be a good fit for now. Your insurance needs will likely change down the road, and that's no problem. We can usually adapt to that. And then we go right into the options. At this point, very rarely will you have folks that will, if you've done your job properly in that first half, very rarely do you get here and you have a lot of think about it, because you've already built up that level of certainty. Certainly you will get think about it, but they're kind of more smoke screens for things that they may still not be certain about. And then you can loop back to earlier parts of the presentation to cover those things. This last part is really kind of just, it's almost, it kind of just falls into place. They usually just at this point, they're like, they're kind of almost frothing at the mouth to make a decision and which one's going to be the best fit. Again, if you've set it up properly in the beginning, right? I promise you that if you train and drill and practice this sales process, the real sales system, that you will find that asking for the sale here is going to be so easy, and you're going to get so many more yeses. And yes, let's put an application in today. Yes, let's do this. This is so clear. It's so straightforward. I'm so certain, just like you are, that this is the best for me. You'll be surprised that you can literally have average to maybe even below average skills and sales, which is the case for most of us, right? When we first get started, right? Most of us are not natural born closers. That using this sales system, it's just such an easy decision at this point, right? Because you've set it up that way. It's this airtight, logical case there that for them to say no at this point just makes no sense. Okay. And so I think I'm at the end of my time. Yeah. Wow. 30 minutes flies by fast. Again, this training is really about emphasizing the importance of checking in on your client's level of certainty. That it's an important, as you as a sales professional know before you ever get to the options, what they're thinking, what their certainty level is, what are the steps and pieces that you would need to deploy to build that level of certainty, so that when you finally get to the options, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's like, if they don't say yes to one of these options, if they don't say yes to filling an application right now, they will never say yes to filling an application, right? Like if you don't close them at this point of the sales process, no one would close them, right? That's the kind of feeling that you need to have here when you finally get to the options, okay? With that being said, guys, I'm going to close this out. It's been a real pleasure sitting with the Symmetry Nation here on a national level. When I think about it, I actually get a little nervous that I'm sure there's lots of people listening in right now, but it's Monday. We've got one more week left of October here. So go get those goals met, lean in the finish line, go help out some families, take massive action today. Okay, guys? And we'll see you next Monday.